unveiling Jesus' divine love in action. Jesus' love isn't just a concept, it's a force that moves and changes lives. This video explores real-life examples of Jesus' love in action, showcasing how his teachings continue to inspire acts of kindness, compassion, and selflessness in the world today. What is Jesus' love? When we speak of Jesus' love, we're not talking about a fleeting emotion or polite kindness. His love was and is a radical, sacrificial force, something that reaches beyond the ordinary. Think of how he looked upon the sick, the rejected, the sinners, not with judgment, but with compassion. When a leper cried out for mercy, others stepped back in fear, but Jesus stepped forward, touching the untouchable. When a woman caught in adultery was dragged before him to be stoned, he didn't condemn her. He said, "Let the one without sin cast the first stone." His love broke through the barriers of religion, social status, and shame. It fed the hungry crowds, wept with the grieving, celebrated with the joyful. It taught that the greatest commandment is to love God, and the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. This love is patient when others are impatient, forgiving when others hold grudges, generous when others cling tightly. It doesn't boast, it doesn't demand repayment, and it never fails. And he didn't only teach it, he lived it to the very end. Even on the cross, when pain consumed him, his final words were of forgiveness and care. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. And today, you will be with me in paradise." This is the love we're talking about. The love that transforms hearts, inspires action, and still ripples through history to touch lives today. So, how does this love look when ordinary people dare to put it into practice? Let's see. Story 1. Feeding the hungry. Let's begin with the story of a simple loaf of bread. In the town of San Giovanni Rotondo, Italy, a small family-owned bakery started each morning before dawn. For years, they watched as unsold bread was thrown away. One evening, the owner sat reading the gospel story of Jesus feeding 5,000 people with just 5 loaves and 2 fish. He thought, what if we did something similar? Something that multiplied blessings. So, the next morning, he placed a sign in the window. "If you are hungry and have no money, please come in. Bread is free." At first, just one man came, a homeless veteran who hadn't eaten in days. The baker handed him a fresh loaf and a cup of coffee. That day, the man left with tears in his eyes, whispering, "You've saved my life." News spread through the neighborhood. Soon, farmers began bringing extra vegetables. A nearby cafe offered hot soup. Even customers started leaving donations to keep the effort going. What began as one man's desire to share turned into a community movement, inspired by Jesus' example of compassion. Today, the bakery and its partners provide hundreds of meals every week. No forms to fill out, no questions asked, no judgment, just love in action. The baker later said, "We thought we were just giving bread, but we discovered we were offering dignity, hope, and the love of Christ." Story 2. Radical forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful expressions of divine love, and one of the hardest to live out. Jesus didn't just speak about forgiveness, he embodied it, even in his final moments. As he hung on the cross, betrayed and brutalized, he looked upon his executioners and said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." That same radical forgiveness continues to echo through the hearts of those who follow him. One such story comes from South Africa in the aftermath of apartheid. A woman named Nomsa lost her only son during a violent political conflict. Years later, during the Truth and Reconciliation hearings, she faced the man responsible for his death. The courtroom was tense. Eyes were fixed on her, waiting to see what she would do. And then, something astonishing happened. Nomsa stood, looked into the eyes of the man who had caused her so much pain, and said, "Because of Jesus, I forgive you. I do not want revenge. I want peace." The man collapsed in tears, overwhelmed by the weight of mercy he didn't deserve. Nomsa later explained, "Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is remembering with grace. My son's life will not be defined by hate." Her act didn't erase the pain, but it transformed it. It turned bitterness into healing and revenge into reconciliation. That's what Jesus' love does. It liberates the heart, even in the face of deep wounds. When we forgive, we open the door for healing not just in others, but within ourselves. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's divine strength in motion. Story 3. Embracing the Outcasts. Imagine living your life unseen, avoided, and forgotten because of an illness you didn't choose. For many suffering from leprosy, this isn't imagination, it's reality. In the small village of Anandaban, Nepal, a Christian mission has quietly served people with leprosy for decades. Their clinic isn't just a place for medical care, it's a haven of dignity and acceptance. Inspired by Jesus, who reached out his hand to the leper when everyone else recoiled, these caregivers believe every person is precious. One nurse named Maya shared a story about a woman named Lakshmi. Lakshmi had lost her fingers and much of her sight. She came to the clinic expecting to be turned away. Instead, Maya gently took her hands and said, "You are loved. You are not alone." That simple touch broke through years of shame. Over time, with care and rehabilitation, Lakshmi regained the strength to walk and the courage to smile again. This is how Jesus' love lives on, in the gentle hands that clean wounds, in the voices that speak hope, and in the hearts that refuse to look away. Jesus taught us that no one is too broken to be embraced. When we reach out to those the world rejects, we step directly into his example.
Story 4. Modern-day Good Samaritans. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus told the story of a traveler attacked and left for dead. Religious leaders passed by, unwilling to help, but a foreigner, the Samaritan, stopped, tended his wounds, and carried him to safety. Today, that story repeats itself every time someone chooses compassion over convenience. In the city of Houston, Texas, during Hurricane Harvey, thousands were stranded as floodwaters rose. One man named Aaron saw a woman clinging to a street sign, her children crying for help. Risking his own life, he waded into the waist-deep water, lifted the children onto his shoulders, and carried them to a rescue boat. When asked why he did it, Aaron simply said, "Because that's what love does." In another part of the world, in Syria, volunteers known as the White Helmets run toward the rubble after airstrikes. Though they are not soldiers or politicians, they risk everything to pull survivors from collapsed buildings. Their motto is, "To save one life is to save all of humanity." Whether it's a neighbor helping after an accident or a stranger offering shelter in a disaster. These modern-day Good Samaritans show us that love has no borders. It sees no labels, only the urgent need to act. Jesus' love moves us to cross the road, step into the mess, and lift others up.
Story 5. The Power of Small Kindnesses. Not every act of love is as dramatic as rescuing someone from a flood or risking everything in a war zone. Sometimes, Jesus' love shines brightest in small, unseen moments. In a small village in Kenya, a young teacher named Miriam noticed one of her students often came to school barefoot and hungry. Instead of ignoring it, she quietly began packing an extra lunch every morning and slipped it into the boy's bag. Eventually, she also found a pair of shoes just his size. Years later, that boy would say, "It was her kindness that made me believe God cared about me." In another part of the world, an elderly man in Chicago spends every Sunday afternoon writing handwritten notes of encouragement. He mails them to people in his church, new parents, widows, college students, anyone who might need to know they are remembered. Over the years, he has sent thousands of letters. One recipient shared, "When I felt forgotten, his notes reminded me I mattered to someone." These are quiet gestures that don't appear on the news, but their impact is profound. A smile, a word of encouragement, a simple prayer over a friend. These small acts ripple outwards, touching hearts in ways we may never fully see. Jesus often paused to notice the overlooked and speak to the lonely. He showed us that no kindness is too small to be holy. Bringing it home. We've traveled across continents and heard stories of courage, compassion, and quiet faith. Each one, in its own way, reveals that Jesus' divine love isn't a memory from the past. It's alive in every heart willing to reach beyond itself. Maybe you've felt the stirrings of that love in your own life. A moment when you were moved to forgive, to serve, or to simply stand beside someone in their pain. Or perhaps you've received it, a helping hand when you were struggling, a listening ear when you were lonely, an unexpected kindness that reminded you you weren't alone. This is the invitation Jesus offers, to be a vessel of His love in a world that often forgets what love really looks like, to be the hands that feed, the hearts that forgive, and the voices that speak hope into dark places. Imagine if each of us chose, even in small ways, to let this love guide our choices. Imagine how families, communities, and nations might be transformed. As you go forward from this video, may you carry with you the simple but powerful truth: Jesus' love is real, it is active, and it begins with you. Today, we've witnessed how Jesus' love in action transforms lives. From simple loaves of bread to extraordinary acts of forgiveness and compassion. These stories remind us that love is not a distant ideal, it is a choice we can make every day. Imagine if each of us carried this spirit into our homes, workplaces, and neighborhoods. Imagine a world where no one felt forgotten, where kindness overcame division, and where forgiveness broke the chains of resentment. You don't have to start a mission or rescue hundreds to make a difference. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause, see someone's need, and respond with love. Whether it's offering a helping hand, a listening ear, or a simple smile, you are unveiling Jesus' presence in this world. If you feel inspired by these stories, I invite you to take a step today. Share this video with someone who needs hope. Reach out to a friend or a neighbor who feels alone. Support a cause that helps the vulnerable. Or simply begin by offering one small act of love. Together, we can create ripples of compassion that spread far beyond what we can imagine. And before we end, let's take a moment to quiet our hearts and pray together with this simple prayer.
Lord Jesus,
thank you for showing us what true love looks like. Fill our hearts with your compassion, so we may see others through your eyes. Give us courage to forgive, strength to serve, and humility to love without conditions. May our lives reflect your grace and bring hope to a world in need. In your holy name, amen. Closing invitation. Thank you for spending this time reflecting on the power of Jesus' love. May these stories encourage you to look for opportunities to love boldly, forgive freely, and serve joyfully. If you'd like to stay connected and explore more stories of faith in action, please subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, or share your own experience in the comments below. We'd love to hear how love has shaped your life.
May God bless you and your family abundantly.